Hi, my name is Nur Iman Natasha binti Muhammad Charurisha, and my partner.
My name is Putri Nur Iman binti Zulkifli.
We are going to present on the critical review for the subject security analysis and portfolio management. So I am going to present for the first article. The title for the first journal is Determinants of Corporate Demand for Islamic Insurance in Malaysia. Based on the journal, there are are three researchers from three different universities. The first researcher is Muhammad Abdul Hamid, the second Jamil Osman, and the third is Bani Arifin Aminordin. The three researchers mentioned was from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Insaniah University College, and University Putra Malaysia. As stated, this journal was published in the year of 2009 under Journal of Economics and Management. The researchers points out about insurance in Malaysia, which includes both Islamic and conventional. So basically, this journal is mainly about the insurance in Malaysia, where there are two types of it, which is Islamic insurance and conventional insurance. These two insurance are used by people in Malaysia depending on their preferences. Okay, so as overall, the purpose of this journal is to investigate the determinants of corporate demand for Islamic insurance in Malaysia, where they have chosen Takaful insurance. Next. Okay, now for the problem of this journal is the researcher had highlighted the importance of finding the factors affecting the corporate demand for Takaful in Malaysia. Next, the investigation of the determinants of corporate demand for Takaful in Malaysia should be done since there has been no research in this area. Not just that, according to the empirical research conducted on Takaful is still quite scarce or insufficient since its existence of more than 20 years in Malaysia. So we can see that these researchers has actually started out the problems of why they are trying to conduct this research. And it is also important to understand the reason behind these problems. Now, for the hypothesis of this research, there are 7 hypotheses were found in this journal which are all related to the insurance in Malaysia. For example, one hypothesis from the seven is uh, high leverage firms are likely to contribute more to Takaful, and high growth opportunities firms are likely to contribute more to Takaful. Next. Okay, moving on to the review of the literature. Okay, the cited sources are all related to the topic of research. Some of the cited sources are mainly about demand for corporate insurance. And there is also that is related to the determinants of reinsurance purchasing behavior of insurance companies. Next, the review in this journal is broad since it includes both conventional and Islamic insurance companies. For example, the researchers have made insurance industries from the different countries as their references. Now, for the references of this research are mostly not recent, since the stated references are all from the year of 1980s up to 2006. However, it can be said that all of the references are from the same area that includes Islamic banking, finance, and insurance. There are some references that is about economics and property investment, which somehow could be related to the research topic. Next. Moving on to the design and procedures of this journal. So based on this journal, the Takaful and financial data are collected on an individual firm basis from public listed companies in the main board of Bursa Malaysia, excluding the finance sector. The data collected covers a 5-year period, which is from the year 2002 up to 2006. For the measurement tools in this journal, they used a pool combination of cross-sectional and time series that incorporates non-effect, fixed effect, and random effect. For both time and specific correlation are deployed. Hence, this study will employ a cross-sectional and time series regression model using panel data. For the procedure structured are by the amount of takaful premium by a firm is represented by the ratio of property takaful premium to the value of insurable assets. The amount of lens is excluded since it is not usually subject to insurance. Now, as for the financial data of public listed companies are considered as measurable variables. The ownership data are obtained directly from the company's annual report. Moving on to the variables in this journal, where there are two. The first is dependent variables, which include takaful and contribution ratio. Next, the independent variable is the financial data. And lastly, for design and procedures, the sampling method in this journal is by non-profitability sampling methods, since it collects all of the data easily, and they actually came up with the three models, which are non-effect model, fixed effect model, and random effect model. Next. As for the data and analysis presentation, the data was analyzed through the descriptive statistics for the takaful contribution ratio and the firm-specific characteristics for the pool company or year sample of 68 public listed companies of Bursa Malaysia. The researchers had came up with 4 tables, which the first one is corporate demand for takaful. The second is the Pearson's correlations for corporate demand of takaful. The third is the panel regression results. And lastly, the fourth table shows the panel specification test. According to the journal, all of the data collected are quantitative since one of the variables are mainly on financial data, which clearly shows it is a quantitative data. Next. Now for the last part of the first article, the conclusion of the study is related to the original purpose since it was mentioned in this journal. It investigates the determinants of corporate demand of property takaful for property takaful in Malaysia by utilizing a panel data analysis of public listed companies at Bursa Malaysia. On top of that, they mention one of the major strands conducted by the researchers where they actually extended the study on the corporate demand for Islamic insurance, which is known as takaful. For the implications in this journal, the implications based on the journal, which will also affect the important parties, such as the regulator, the shareholders, and creditors, as well as the takaful operators, in which they should take action and attention from the findings of this study. Lastly, as for the recommendation of this journal, there is potential for takaful operators to reach out more to corporate clients and particular to SMEs. Besides that, information asymmetry among potential takaful participants could be reduced by enhancing educational informative disclosure on takaful concept and application. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to my partner. So moving on to the next article, which is second article. So as for the article for myself is that the article is entitled as an analysis of policy compatibility between conventional insurance and Islamic insurance policies. It is also a study of conceptual and operational differences. So as for the researchers, there are 3 researchers that wrote this article. which the first one is Said Muhammad Mahathir, which he is from the University of Sri Lanka. And the second researcher named as Asma Rahman, and the last one is Muhammad Ismah Ramzi. So moving on to the next one is the purpose of this article. It is to compare and contrast between conventional insurance policies from Islamic insurance policies or also known as takaful. So the next purpose is to find a mutual relationship between the conventional insurance and also Islamic insurance. So the next one is the problem. So is the problem clearly stated? As from my point of view, yes, the problem is clearly stated by the researcher, which they are trying to find the differences between two different insurance, which are takaful and also conventional insurance. So is the problem practically important? The issue is important as the knowledge is important and applicable to all. So the next one is, what is the purpose of this study? So as the purpose written in the article is that to identify differences between takaful and also conventional insurance, and also to know the pros and cons between takaful and conventional insurance. So the fourth point for the problem is that are the key terms defined. Stated in the paper, there are 6 in total of keywords stated in the paper, which the first one is takaful, the next one is conventional, the third one is insurance, the fourth one is Islamic, the fifth one is difference, and the last one is similarity. So as for the review of the literature, in the reference to the written article, the cited sources surely relevant to the study. This is because all the researchers' references are based on the topic that related to the insurance. For instance, stated in the paper, a writer named Dorfman MS from the USA wrote about an article regarding the introduction to insurance, which this means the article, every references of other article is related to this particular paper. So the next one is 2 broad reviews. What is meant by 2 broad reviews mean that 2 broad meaning the sharing from the writers are too widely applicable, which means anyone is applicable to this paper as it is compulsory for everyone to know and gain knowledge about insurance. So the last one is references of this research are mostly from the year 1969 up to 2016. So on the other hand, the writer of this first article does refer to the article as references for their findings. There are few references that the researchers referred to, as for the latest reference is in the year 2016, while the previous references are in the year 1969. As from my point of view, the references are recent as the differences of year are only 4 years differences, which is not that much of different. So moving on to the next one is design and procedures. So pertaining to the article, the study is built upon a qualitative methodology, which is primarily consists of the descriptive and narrative analysis. So as the design and procedures, are the study is replica or original study? As for my article, from my point of view, the study is original as the writer itself wrote for the first time for them by themselves. And the next one is, was a pilot study conducted? So as from my point of view, the pilot study conducted from this article as the pilot study defined as a small study to test the research protocols, data collection instruments, sample recruitment strategies, and also other research techniques in preparation for a larger study. For an article to have a wider researching and also findings, they actually have to do a pilot study for them to have a wider research for the particular paper. So moving on to the variables, as stated in the paper, there are 2 variables, which is conventional and Islamic. On the other hand, according to the references, there are also other variables such as gross domestic product, consumer price index, and also treasury bills are one of the variables that used from other references. So moving on to the next one is data analysis and presentation. So for the first one, what was the data qualitative or quantitative data? So referring to the article does stated that the data is from a qualitative data, which is it is primarily consists of descriptive and narrative analysis. And how was the data analyzed? The data analyzed by, the data is analyzed by having a comparison between conventional and also Islamic insurance. And the next one, did the findings support the hypothesis and purpose? As from my point of view, there are no specific hypotheses referred based on this article, but there are purpose, which I stated on the previous slide. From my point of view, the purpose does support the findings, which is to know more and to know the similarities of insurance, of two different insurance, which is conventional and also Islamic insurance. And the last one, were weaknesses and problem discussed? Yes, there are weaknesses and problem discussed. For instance, there are issues about the Islamic insurance, which people know better compared to conventional insurance. So I think that people need to know, need to balance their knowledge about these two different insurance. So the last one is conclusion, implications, and recommendation. So the study does reveal the compatibility of takaful and conventional insurance in terms of social and economic aspect. So to conclude, the study does reveals the compatibility of insurance of both of these insurance. So both insured and insurance providers does benefit and grow together, and there are pros and cons between these two insurance. And from my recommendation, this article should be known to all of the individuals, as people need to improve and gain their knowledge, particularly about insurance, and to know more about the similarities and also differences of Islamic insurance and also conventional insurance. That's all from us. Thank you.